Hello, what's up? So I am finally getting around to talking about the most recent episode of House of the Dragon. For some reason, I only got around to watching this episode on Wednesday night earlier this week. I don't know why, but I kind of procrastinated on watching this episode. I guess maybe just like the stars weren't aligned for House of the Dragon until Wednesday night, I guess. Who knows? Anyway, I'd like to issue the standard spoiler warnings. There will be spoilers for this episode entitled Smallfolk and Fire and Blood, the book that House of the Dragon is based off of. Alrighty, so this episode opens with Rhaenyra having Sir Stephen Darkland, a member of her Queen's Guard, try and claim sea smoke due to him having distant Targaryen ancestry. Something I thought was interesting is that during this scene, the subtitles described the song that the Dragon Keepers were singing as a hymn. Between that and someone in the crowd saying they thought dragons were gods last episode, it makes me wonder about Valyrian religion and customs. We did have that wedding scene with Rhaenyra and Daemon last season where they're in like those kind of like beige costumes and they draw on each other with blood. So we've seen a little bit, but I would like to learn more. I really like Sir Stefan, his willingness to try to help Rhaenyra. It was a neat plot beat. He was really loyal to his queen. R.I.P. Sir Stefan Darkland. You were a real one. Alrighty, so after that, Rhaenyra talks to Lord Celtigar, who is a member of her small council, and she slaps him. I thought it was interesting. To me, it demonstrates her kind of reckless streak that we see a lot of in season 1 with the younger version of her character. So I thought that was interesting to see. Alrighty. So Aegon seems to be really popular this episode. His sickbed seems to be the place to be. We see Aemond visit him. I really like this scene. So Aemond, it was like the perfect combination of unhinged and calculating during his conversation with Aegon. It was very fun to watch. It kind of reminded me of Misery by Stephen King. It was very creepy. We also see Larys Strachan visit Aegon. Larys gives him a speech about what Aegon's life is going to be like now that he has those horrific burn injuries and he is disabled. It kind of reminded me of Tyrion's Don't Forget Who You Are, where like Armor's speech from the original Game of Thrones. I wonder what Larys' agenda is. So in Fire and Blood, he does help Aegon escape King's Landing when Rhaenyra takes the city. So maybe it's a genuine friendship / fondness forming between the two of them, since he relates to Aegon now that they're both disabled. Maybe he's trying to get Aegon into headspace to take back power from Aemond so that Aegon will give him a bigger role on the small council and that he can kind of like rule through that. Who knows? Alicent is also seen visiting Aegon. It hit me in the feels when she told him that she was sorry about the state he's in. It reminded me of season 1, where she says that when her mom died, all she wanted was for someone to straight up tell her that they were sorry for what happened to her. I also want y'all to think about how Aegon didn't hear her say that, and how last episode she didn't hear him call out for her. Team Green. Well, they have to learn how to properly communicate. So maybe Alicent and her children would know how to talk to each other if Otto didn't have a hand in raising all of them. I thought it was interesting how her brother Gawain picked up on how Alicent needed reassurance, and he easily gave it to her. It was a really sweet moment. So Alicent talks about how Otto left Gawain in Old Town when they were going up. He didn't take him to King's Landing with him and Alicent, we learn. Well, we already knew that, but, It makes me wonder if maybe Otto's brother Hobart, or maybe Hobart's wife, are more emotionally open and warm If they were Gawain's primary influence while he was growing up, it explains why he's better at comforting people. And also, if that is the case, it would explain why Daeron is described as kind in this conversation. Basically, he had like more empathetic, openly emotional role models. While we're on the subject of siblings and families, I liked Rhaena walking with her little stepbrother Joffrey. It was cute, and it reminded me of when I rambled to my younger brothers. While they are walking and chatting, they find evidence that there is a dragon running around in the Vale. I remember seeing leaks that Rhaena will be the one to claim Sheep Stealer. I guess this confirms it. I'm not totally convinced that Nettles is cut, though. Like, maybe they give Nettles one of the other wild dragons, or maybe the dragon that Rhaena finds out about isn't Sheep Stealer. I know I'm being mildly delulu, but let me be. Nettles would be really cool to see on House of the Dragon, so I still have hope. So another interesting plot beat is Mysaria suggesting sending food and spreading rumors in King's Landing about Team Green. One thing that confused me a bit was when one of the rumors that they choose to spread is that the royals are feasting in the Red Keep and that they had a celebration for Aemond when he was named Prince Regent. So Aemond doesn't really seem like a big feast/party guy. If it was a rumor about Aegon doing this, or people talking about how the nobility have more food in general, it would have worked a little better for me. I don't know, like, I don't think Aemond would throw a feast or something like that. I do think Aemond wants validation and to be celebrated, but I don't think he wants it in that way, if that makes sense. However, I don't totally hate this plot. It kind of reminds me of how the Tyrells, during the War of the Five Kings, they blocked the Rose Road and the people of King's Landing were starving. But once they elided the Lannisters, they started giving out food. And all the Smallfolk were really happy. They were really loving the Tyrells, even though the Tyrells were the ones starving them out. I think this plot could have been executed a little better, but I can see what the writers are going for. Another thing that I thought was interesting is that Aemond is the one that points out that it was Team Black that started a blockade that's leading to there being no food in King's Landing. I do wish another character would have commented on it, however. Like, for example, Jace pointing out that it's kind of shady to use food as a PR stunt would have been interesting, and I can see Jace commenting on that and finding it shady. Alrighty, so speaking of Mysaria, we get to see her and Rhaenyra hanging out, and they do end up kissing. Alrighty, so this may have been the wine that I was drinking while I was watching this episode, not gonna lie. But in the scene where Mysaria walks in on Rhaenyra, picking up swords and practicing pointing them, kind of goofing around, it kind of seemed like Mysaria was hitting on her a little bit before they kissed when she was all like, "It suits you." I was like, okay, girl, I see you. Make your moves. Get yourself a queen. It may have, it's already been I knew about this plot point, so I was kind of like seeing foreshadowing. I don't know. We're going to go with that she was hitting on Rhaenyra because that's funnier. On a serious note, this pairing suffers from the same problem that Alicent suffers from, and that the setup is a little messy. Although, honestly, in my opinion, there is a very strong argument that this problem affects most pairings on the show. I mean, did Harwin Strachan really get many scenes with Rhaenyra before they had 3 kids together? The only pairings that have like a really strong foundation, in my opinion, are Daemon and Rhaenyra, and Viserys and Alicent. We spend time with the 2 couples. We get a good sense of their dynamic, and we don't really get that with other pairings, I feel like. Alrighty. So actually, speaking of Viserys, Daemon sees him in one of his Harrenhal dreams. I really liked these scenes. A lot of Daemon's dreams in Harrenhal seem to focus on areas where he failed in life and not supporting his brother after he lost his wife and infant son. That was for sure not a good thing to do. I would consider that a failure. I also like the plot beat of Lord Grover Tully, reminding him of Viserys and how he was toward the end of his life. We see Daemon getting a little emotional when we learn that Lord Grover Tully died, but it was really cool. On the subject of Harrenhal, Alice Rivers was really fun. I liked her conversation with Daemon. I liked her line about how power is not a prize we won, it's a burden to bear. That was a really good line. I want to know more about Alice Rivers' abilities and what she knows about the world of Westeros. Her line, excuse me, her line about there being things older than living memory was very intriguing. I was like, tell me more, Alice. I want to know. But now that we have talked about House Targaryen, Hightower, and Strawn, let us now talk about House Valyrian. Alrighty, so Alan gets offered a promotion when Corlys asks him to be the first mate. Well, I mean, he kind of like tells him that he's getting the promotion. Alan is conflicted about this offer. He feels like Corlys paying him attention now is odd. It's understandable. I would feel the same way in Alan's shoes. I really like the conversation that Alan and Adam have during that scene where Alan is shaving his head. I guess he's trying to hide his Valyrian ancestry, since we see that his hair is a silvery color like Corlys's. I thought it was interesting that Adam seemed kind of jealous of all the attention that Alan was getting from Corlys, and he was also kind of confused about why Alan wouldn't want to take advantage of this opportunity. There seems to be kind of like a running theme between them, is that Alan is more cautious and Adam is more adventurous. However, Adam shouldn't feel too jealous because Seasmoke decides that he should be a dragon rider. The scene where Adam claims Seasmoke, or Seasmoke claims him, I guess would be more accurate. It was very fun. Seasmoke gave very strong, goofy puppy vibes while he was trying to get Adam's attention on the beach. I think this will be the first thing that we pick up on in the next episode, and I'm excited to see what Adam and Seasmoke get up to. Overall, this is a good episode. I'm going to be honest, I kind of grade House of the Dragon on a curve, mainly because Fire and Blood is not the strongest source material in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, if we're being honest. It's primarily a lore book, and things like characters and plots are not as fleshed out as they are in the mainline series, or the Dunk and Egg stories, which I hear are very good and I need to get around to reading. House of the Dragon kind of shares some of the same flaws, in my opinion. Like, for example, as previously stated, the romantic pairings seem to become official pretty quick. I might do a more in-depth look at all of this later on, because I could ramble on and nitpick all day about how Fire and Blood is kind of messy and how that impacts House of the Dragon. Anyway, okay, like I said, let's bring this back to the show. This episode, I really liked the character interactions, especially between sibling sets. We see Alicent and her better Glenn, Alan and Adam, Rhaenyra and Joffrey, and Daemon and Viserys. All of these scenes were very well done. We also see Aemond and Aegon. That was also really well done. The dragons were fun. One of my Song of Ice and Fire hot takes is that the dragons are not the most interesting magical creatures. However, Seasmoke added a lot to this episode. I also thought Larys and Mysaria were very interesting. I would give this episode a solid 7 to a light 8. Alrighty, I will see y'all next time, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.